Hey everybody, welcome back to the Preacher Boys podcast. I'm your host, Eric Skwarczynski. I am a former fundamentalist who now sheds light on the dark side of the church, from the pulpits to the pews. And today I am talking about a clip I stumbled across on social media from a Christian influencer named John Welnick. He goes by the handle Charismatic Calvinist. And the minute that I saw this clip, I knew I needed to talk about it. And I also knew exactly who I wanted to talk about it with. That's why I sat down with one of my best friends, Travis Chappell. He's a host of the Travis Makes Friends and the Travis Makes Money podcast. And anytime there's a conversation around finance in any regard, he's the dude that I want to get a perspective from. And I knew he would have some hot takes on this clip. As I expected, we had a really good conversation around this topic. He provided some really excellent insights. I definitely encourage you to go follow him over on social media as well, so you can see more of his takes. But first, I need to take up an offering of my own. We're talking about giving, and you can support the Preacher Boys podcast for as low as $5 a month. I'm so thankful to a team of supporters who make this show possible every single time I put a piece of content out there, and it takes a lot less than 10% of your income to help make this show run a little bit smoother. If you enjoy the work I'm doing, you'd like some exclusive behind the scenes content, early access to certain episodes, and a couple sneak peeks at some other things I'm working on, head over to patreon.com/preacherboys, or you can become a member right there on YouTube. If you can't support, I totally understand, and there will be tons of content that is not paywalled available to the general public all the time. But if you're able to, I really appreciate the support, and I'll do my best to make it worth your while. All right, let's go ahead and get into the episode. Anything about my cool new shirt I got?
Candy Carpenter.
It's my friend, he's a musician. But I like this shirt because it's one of those shirts where it makes me, when I put it on, I feel like, you know, my dad's gonna say, "Clean your room." I'm like, "No, Dad, get out of here." Vibe. And I'm wearing like my gray jeans with it. It's kind of like edgy.
Totally.
But yeah, no, Candy Carpenter is the best. And if I was gonna do a tier list of Carpenters, it would be Sabrina Carpenter number 4. John Carpenter, the director of Halloween, number 3. Mm-hmm. My good friend Candy Carpenter, number 2. Mm-hmm. And my all-time favorite Carpenter,
Jesus.
That's good, huh? Yeah. I thought about that joke this morning. That's why I brought up the shirt.
As soon as you said Carpenter, that's why.
Jesus was a carpenter.
I did.
Sabrina Carpenter had a shirt that said that.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Anyway,
I
had a clip, and you were in Maine, and you engaged with this clip while you were there. Okay. But I already did a video about this. Let me see how this video is doing, actually. I want to see how the reception's been of it. Okay. I feel like it's gotten a lot of traction. And do you know what I'm talking about?
No.
It's about tithing, and you have no right to know where the money's going.
Oh yes, I did see that one.
Let me find it.
Yeah, that was wild.
I feel like this one's been juicing.
Yeah, that's a wild take.
I can't find it. That's how much I post. Yeah, this one's got has like 1,500 likes. And like 284 comments, and the comments are not positive. So here's the clip, and I wanted to get your reaction to it because I saw you like it. I was like, Travis makes money.
Yeah,
Travis makes money. Here we go. Ready?
You have no right to see your church's finances. None.
Agree or disagree?
Crazy.
Let's start there.
Crazy take. You have no right to see your church's finances.
You don't have any right to see what they spend their money on. None. If you think you're seeing something that's problematic, talk to your pastor, ask him the questions. If he shuts you down, if something feels fishy, leave the church. Yeah. That's the beauty of evangelicalism is it's a freaking strip mall. You go pick a different one, right?
Yeah.
But these guys that they demand, I need to talk to the senior pastor and I need to know every dollar where everything is sent, where everything is spent on. Like, no, you don't. They're the stewards of that money.
Yeah.
You are called and commanded to tithe your money, to give to your local ministry. Yeah. And then once it's out of your hands, it's God's money. It's not yours. Churches.
Yeah, that's a pretty wild take. Also, fine. Just don't ask me to give the money then.
Yeah.
Like, don't have 43 giving banquets and then be like, well, you have no right to see what we do with this money. That was literally one of the reasons I stopped giving to, like, when I was first coming out of it. I stopped giving, obviously, before I left. And that was one of the reasons, because I just felt like, I was like, it seems like you guys are just more focused on buying more flat screen TVs for the lobby. And that doesn't feel like something I care to give my money to.
Right.
So I don't think I'm going to do that anymore.
Well, the crazy thing is too, is like tithing is 10% of your income.
Mm-hmm.
So you're giving 10% of every paycheck to this organization.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like at that point you should have some level of
any 501c3 should have some level of transparency into what they're spending their money on, because it's the MO.
But
like,
I mean,
like
nothing.
It's not the same if it's a business. Like if you're buying a product from a business, then it's none of your business what they do with their money. But that's a completely different thing, because the transaction is transparent ahead of time. You're paying this money for this product.
Yeah.
If you're giving money to any organization, especially a religious organization that pays zero in taxes and can do whatever they want with the money, then you should have an idea of what the money is being used for. And maybe that doesn't mean that you get to see a copy of the P&L or something like that, but
Sure.
you should have at least some sort of transparency into where the money's going, or you shouldn't be giving to the organization. That's the only thing in that clip that I would agree with, is that you should vet the places that you're going to give money. But the idea that just because it's mandated in the Bible, in the Old Testament, by the way, which has always been strange to me.
There's even debate, even if you are a Christian,
right,
whether or not you should.
It should
be required
10%.
to tithe,
right,
to the church itself,
on
you know,
an ongoing basis with every dollar you ever earn.
Yeah. And even some churches that I've heard about from people I've talked to, like even if they received gifts, they would like, I feel like someone told me, I think it was a car, someone gifted them a car, but they gave the church like 10% of the value of the car that was gifted to them. And then I know like tax returns, like all that kind of stuff. It was like anything that we have.
Yeah. My favorite one was, people ask me if they should be tithing on their gross or their net income. And I just always ask them, well, do you want God's gross blessings or his net blessings? And they always got a big laugh and reaction. It was just like, basically, let me guilt you into giving money off the top of everything that you're making before you're paying like taxes and expenses. Like, let me just get a larger chunk of this.
And also have more kids than you can afford.
And also don't ask me where the money's going.
Well, that's what I was going to say. And because he says, if something feels fishy, by all means, ask your pastor about it. But like, that was kind of the big thing in the video that stood out to me, is that if you don't have any data, you're going solely off of vibes.
Right.
Where it's like something feels fishy. And the two ways that can go is things can feel, if there's no transparency, then people are free to assume the worst because they can't see what's going on. But also, people could feel like everything's going fine. And then like the story we covered like a couple months ago, 2 months ago, like, oh, there's $500,000 missing.
Right.
Like that kind of stuff happens more often than not. So I don't know how you determine if something's fishy if you have no ability to see where the finance is going. I guess that is fishy in and of itself.
Right.
But like his point doesn't really make sense. Like, why would you even raise a question?
Exactly.
If there's no way to know either way.
If there's no transparency, how do you determine whether or not something's fishy? And you're in that culture and you have, there's stakes, there's things to lose, there's relationships to lose, there's being ostracized by that church community if you're the one to bring something up and other people don't think that was fishy. It's just a dangerous way to treat your finances. I mean, it's your money, do what you want, but that just seems crazy to me.
I shared a video like 4 years ago. It was like very early on in the days of doing my show. And I basically said, like, do you want to know if your leader is toxic? Basically, I just said, ask them questions. And the response to the questions is going to tell you a lot. Do you want to know if the leader of your religious system is healthy? Well, I saw one person say that the best way to find out if your religious leader is healthy or toxic is just to disagree with them. You see, the way someone responds when you contradict them or when you oppose them or where you just share a different point of view is going to tell you a lot about them and the culture that they're trying to create in the organization that you're in, whether it's religious or not, whether it's political or not, whatever that group is. If you can't disagree with the leader, it's a big red flag and you need to run. And I feel like this attitude of like, I want all of this from you, but also you can't ask any questions about it, tells you everything you need to know. And to his credit here, the one benefit is there are a lot of churches out there. So like, if you're in a church that's not doing that, it's not hard to be like, I'm going to jump ship and go somewhere where I can actually print out a pie chart, as Nathan Apfel would like you to get, and look through this stuff.
Yeah, it should be further up on the priority list than I think most people in that world put it.
Yeah.
You know, they're going off of the vibe and how good the preaching is and things like that. And it's like, well, that doesn't necessarily correlate to financial
Sometimes
competency.
the best speakers have the worst.
Totally. The most charismatic leaders are the ones that are doing shady things behind the scenes.
Dude, did you see?
But also it's like the sort of what we talked about on that last episode was it's sort of negligence due to incompetence a lot of times too. Because like where I grew up, it was more like you could see what they were doing with the money. You know what I'm saying? So like, even if the pastor would take a bonus or something, it was very transparent. The deacons voted on it. And in my opinion, somebody who's taken a church from 12 people to 6,000, they should be getting paid well to do that job. They are by definition adding value to a much larger group of people and should get paid more money. But we could, my point is that like we could see that was happening. Like we could see buildings being built on the campus. Like we could see the actual use of the funds, but that is a rare case because there's so many churches, the vast majority of churches that are, they've had 150 members for 28 years. Yeah. And it's like, what are you doing with this money? Where is it going? Is this just to sustain a lifestyle for you? Is there any intent on growing? Is there any intent, like what you mentioned, giving to a building program that just never happens over 25 years? Like how long, every year we're giving to this? Like what's happening with this money in the meantime? Are you doing
Can we get a big thermometer and can we start filling it with red to let us know how close we are? Yeah.
But it's mostly just due to, I had this conversation actually in Maine. A couple of people were there asking me a bunch of questions about this stuff. And that was my broader point is like most people will point at the mega churches, which there should be a spotlight, especially in some of these mega churches where they're doing insane things with their money. But the potentially worst part of that is all of these small churches that are just negligent with finances due to utter incompetence. Like they went to a Bible college and now they're qualified to be in ministry, never took an accounting class, don't know what a P&L is, don't know anything about managing an organization's finances. And then just because they graduated from Bible college and a congregation voted them in as pastor, now they have complete control over the church's finances, which blows my mind. To this day, I don't understand why it's not like required classes if you're going to be a pastor to go through a semester or two at least of here's what
basic business management.
Totally. Yeah, exactly. Like you are literally going to be running this. And even for a small church, you could be dealing with a good amount of money. So it's not even just a matter of like, oh, I believe them. My point is that they don't have to be a bad person in order to be wildly mishandling the financial part of the ministry.
Well, that was one of the stories I covered again early on in my show. Was there was a pastor who was surprised engaged in a legal relationship with a teenager in the church, and he literally opened up a cell phone for her to communicate with him exclusively on the church's plan.
That's crazy,
and nobody caught it. Like, how do you have enough control over the finances to do something like that without anybody coming and be like, hey, what's this charge here? Yeah. Like to have that much ability is crazy. Speaking of church finances, actually, Nathan Apfel, who put together a documentary series called The Religion Business, where he talks about like financial fraud in churches and all the weird loopholes churches use to get away with just hoarding a ton of money, properties, all that good stuff. And so he was on Tucker Carlson. Obviously, I never missed one of Tucker's programs.
You're a big TCN guy.
Love Tucker.
If there's anything I know about you.
You know what I hate is that I posted a clip. Oh, I posted a picture of me in front of the Southern Baptist Convention's building. And I said, I'm starting to think we can't trust these guys. And then all these comments were like, you're just starting to think that? I was like, if you don't understand that that's a joke, then there's something wrong with you. Like, obviously, first of all, how long have you been here? I've been talking about this forever. And then the other one I posted it was a picture of a youth conference ad called Freedom for First Baptist Church of Hammond. And it looks, it looks exactly like those Charlie Kirk shirts that are everywhere. And so I made a joke. with intense music going like, this video is for Turning Point's lawyers and Turning Point's lawyers only. They're trying to steal your IP. Like, so clearly, obviously, I'm being so stupid. And I try to make it sound as stupid as possible. And people were like, I don't even think Turning Point has the copyright on that. I was like, you think there's a team of copyright lawyers that are going to like...
To play devil's advocate for those commenters, there's a lot of actually stupid stuff on the internet.
Yeah, that's
people
true.
Actually believing it. So
yeah, like my take on James Bond, apparently. Which anyway, we won't get into all that. But here's Nathan talking about Joby Martin and how they acquired this property.
This church in particular, we did a series of videos on because they took a $1.7 million PPP loan in 2020. A few months later, they bought a $12.7 million hunting ranch. And then a few months after that, the PPP loan got forgiven and it was dumped on the American taxpayer. And
they forgave those loans?
My question was, hey,
wild that Tucker doesn't know they forgave the PPP loans. That's crazy.
What are we doing?
Did they forgive? What am I doing?
Did they forgive all PPP loans across? Oh, I didn't know that.
They forgave all PPP.
Me and Tucker were operating at the same frequency. We didn't know.
At least that's to my knowledge.
I thought it was just like a lot, but I didn't know they did every single.
I'm pretty
PPP
sure
loan.
they did. I think they forgave.
Doesn't seem fiscally wise for the United States government.
It
to
definitely
do.
does not. No. But yeah, there was a lot of fraud that happened.
Yeah, a lot of people went to prison for abusing that, setting up shell accounts, and somebody I knew was like, dude, you should get one. And I think technically I could have gotten one because you could get it if you were a sole proprietor or whatever. But I was just like, I feel like I'll do something wrong and go to prison. So I was like, I'm not going to do this.
I'm not going to mess with this.
But anyway, here we go.
Taxpayer. And
they forgave those loans?
My question was, hey, is this Christ-like to claim financial hardship, take a $1.7 million PPP loan as you're buying an almost $13 million property that's not essential, and then you dump $1.7 million worth of debt onto the American taxpayer? That doesn't sound very Christ-like, and I got eaten alive for that comment.
What was Jesus's real estate portfolio?
Huge.
You know what I hate? I hate when I saw a Candace Owens clip the other day, and I was like, I really hate when like someone like Candace Owens or Tucker Carlson says something that's not funny. Because I have to like laugh and shake my head so people know I disagree. But like when he said, what was Jesus's real estate portfolio? I was like, that's the funniest thing Tucker Carlson's ever said.
Accept jokes wherever you find them.
I know. There was I saw a Candace Owens clip the other day, and I was like, I got to remember who this is, but that is so
that's
funny.
A good one.
Yeah, it was so good. I got to show you it after this.
What was Jesus's real estate portfolio?
Huge. The world.
Son of Man has no place to lay his head. Zero real estate portfolio. You got a negative reaction to that?
Horrible. They said, Nathan, look at how many baptisms they're doing. Look at how many salvations they're doing. And then one individual even put the percentage of the total PPP loan forgiveness debt in a comment. And he goes, Nathan, this is all it is to the American public. He's like, it's 0.00022% or whatever of the total PPP loan debt. So why do you care?
I mean, that reasoning justifies like, I don't know, shoplifting from a grocery store. They got tons of food.
Exactly.
What percentage, if I steal this candy bar, what percentage of the total candy bar inventory is that? It's just 0.
That sounds pretty Christ-like, right?
Yeah.
That laugh
Small
is
Victorian
insane.
shop. Tucker stole a candy bar after this and was arrested. It was all over TMZ. He's like, no, seriously, what percentage of their...
I've actually been trying to do the math on this. I don't know if you
what do you think of that? I didn't mean to show that. Well, I did. We worked really hard to get that to play, but I didn't intend to show that to you, but it came to mind because I threw away the name. But
yeah, like you said, I don't really know much about this particular ministry to give any solid commentary on that, but that is sort of the the reason why I like guys like Nathan Apfel. And it's helpful to have somebody like that who's still inside of the Christian culture. You know what I mean? He's that's
the only reason I don't trust him. No, I'm just kidding. See, someone's going to be like,
yeah, exactly.
No, why do you say that?
But yeah, he, points out things like that just seem to be glaring, just hypocritical movements from people who preach this one message and then do something entirely different. And like you said, like a hunting ranch, was that something the church needed for something? You know what I mean? Like, yeah, I mean, if you ask them, yes, it's for saving lost souls or whatever. But
the idea of I was talking to somebody about this. Maybe I've told you about this before, but I was talking to a friend of mine who's a church planner in the Bay Area. And he was talking about, he was trying to talk about getting a building. And I was like, the idea in 2026 of like a church owning a building that they only use for Sunday morning, that's the only services they were running, I think, at the time. I was like, seems so weird to me. It's so much risk and overhead for something that's locked 6 days a week, aside from a pastor maybe going in an office or like an occasional camp. And same with like having a hunting. I'm sure they would go, it's for retreats, it's for men's gatherings, it's for blah, 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 blah. But it still seems so weird when like in 2026, a pastor wants to get his message out, could start his own version of a podcast, and they could have small groups that meet in coffee shops or in other buildings or houses.
Right.
I don't know where I'm getting that idea from, but I feel like there was precedent for that. The Bible. I was making a joke because someone's gonna be like, "What's the precedent? Cite your sources." I feel sassy today, but anyway, but I just feel like there's a lot where it's just like, this is for the ministry. But then when you start digging in, you're like, yeah, but the pastor really likes hunting.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, like it seems like maybe there's something there. I don't know. But I do think the idea of like claiming financial hardship, like for a church feels particularly weird. And then be like, oh, we have $12 million to spend on this. Right. Like it feels weird to be like, well, let's get as much as we can get out of the system when your whole thing is like being truthful and virtuous. I don't know.
Being honest and having integrity.
Glad I could show that to you, though.
Yeah,
finally.
I appreciate that. And if you're giving money to some sort of a nonprofit, regardless of if it's a religious institution or otherwise, you should have some transparency into where the money's going.
And if you want more money in the bank, become a pastor, start a church. Don't take any questions from your congregants.
And don't pay taxes.
Yeah. All right.
That's a solid way.
That's that.
All right. Bye.
You've been listening to the Preacher Boys podcast, hosted by Eric Skwarczynski. The intro music, Bible Belt, was performed by Lou Ridley.
I said, come on, we are gathered here today to praise the Holy Father, feel the glory of his name. Anyone can worship here so long as you act straight, pay your tithes and follow rules, even the ones God didn't make. In the Bible Belt, in the Bible